Welcome back to LittleLee and Rose. My name is Summer Noel, and today we are going to make a ladybug cup. Now, you guys have been asking me in my Facebook group quite frequently for a ladybug cup, and I am going to make something super gorgeous for you guys. Now, this is a cup that I was originally stripped, and so it's not pretty, but it doesn't matter because we're going to be covering it all up with glitter. So I have stripped this cup, sanded it down, painted it red, and now we're going to coat it with red and get going. So what we're going to do is the hang method on this cup to apply our chunky glitter. What I'm using is this red glitter chunky mix. It's absolutely beautiful red. Now in this camera, I know it's picking it up to be more like Dr. Pepper color, kind of more burgundy, more of a burnt red, but this is actually very, very bright red in real life. So it's going to be gorgeous for a ladybug cup. So what I'm going to do is mix our epoxy. Now when you're working with epoxy, you want to be getting food grade and FDA compliant epoxy, and you want to be getting art resin. Now, there are lots of different types of epoxies, so to make it very easy and clear for you guys, if you check the drop-down menu underneath this tutorial, I have a bunch of different epoxies listed. Every epoxy that is listed there with a link is FDA compliant, and it's an epoxy that I use on a regular basis and love. So that is why I linked you guys, because those are ones I like. It'll take the guesswork right out of it for you. Okay, so we are going to take the epoxy. The epoxies that I use are mixed equal parts A and B. So you will have one little cup, as you can see here, with A and one little cup with B. You will mix them together and stir them together really, really well. You want to make sure you scrape the edges and the bottom of the container and scrape off the popsicle stick when you stir, and stir really, really well again. That's to make sure that you don't have any residual little bits that haven't been stirred together, because if you have anything left over that didn't mix properly with A and B, it will stay soft and sticky. It won't cure. Now, if you have a epoxy that stays tacky after, let's say, 12 hours, it still feels really sticky, most likely that epoxy was mixed incorrectly. If it's not equal parts, it will not cure correctly. It will stay sticky and wet, and not wet, but sticky into the text. Sometimes it stays wet. It depends on how bad you were with mixing A and B together. But if it's slightly tacky, unfortunately, guys, you cannot coat that again with another layer of epoxy until you have removed that epoxy. So you can wet sand it under the water and sand it off really good, or belt sand it, or you can totally strip the cup however you want, but that epoxy needs to be removed before you can continue. If you can continue, that epoxy will never cure properly and will leave you with a defective cup, because that coat will never cure properly. Even though the coat you put over the top might cure up and feel hard, but underneath that is still a soft coat of epoxy. Okay, guys, that's just my little tip for this tutorial. I haven't covered that necessarily in some of my others, but I get asked those questions a lot. If it's tacky, you need to sand it off and remove it and start over with that layer. If it means that's your first layer, you might have to just completely start over with the cup. You don't want to end up with a tacky layer. I'm going to move the glitter off to the side. What you need for the hang method, so now what we're going to do is we're going to put a little bit of epoxy here on the top, and I'm going to work it down with my fingers all over the cup to get a very, very, very thin layer of epoxy on this cup. That's going to make it sticky and tacky, and then we're going to apply the glitter over the top. Now, you only need 2 mLs for that. 1 milliliter of A and 1 milliliter of B. Now, almost every single time you guys see me do the hang method, I've got a lot of hang method projects behind me, so I never ever really mix just 1 ml and 1 ml. I usually have a stack of cups that are waiting for the hang method, so I mix a big clump up. So you saw me just mix the A into the B. Now we're going to stir it really, really well. We're going to scrape the edges and scrape the popsicle stick. You do that because there's some built up on the edges and bottom and on the popsicle stick, and you want to make sure that gets mixed in. So, because you don't even want a dot of unmixed epoxy, because it will leave a dot of tacky, uncured epoxy. All right, so I just furiously mix, guys. I can pop all the bubbles with my torch, so I don't worry about mixing. But if you stir slower, and you use an actual, either a silicone, plastic, or metal stir stick, it will get less bubbles. Now, I don't worry about the bubbles, like I said, because I have a torch. So if it has bubbles, I just heat them up with the torch, and it will pop all the bubbles for you. A torch is also going to be listed under this tutorial for you guys, because I use it every day, and I found a really inexpensive one for you guys on Amazon. It's the one I use here at the house and do my own. and it works really, really well. So you will see that, I'm sure, in future parts of this tutorial. Now what we're gonna do, I'm gonna chuck that popsicle stick out. Now I'm gonna just put 2 mLs here on the top. Oops, hold on, I'm gonna put my chemical mask on, guys. All right, I'm gonna sound like Darth Vader from here on out because I have a chemical mask on. You wanna be wanting to wear your VOC chemical mask, and that is going to keep you from breathing in the harmful fumes that are created by mixing epoxy. Now, once the epoxy is cured, it's completely FDA and food safe, but until it's cured, it is not, and you don't want to be breathing that in, the vapors that are coming off of that. So what you're going to do is just slowly dip your finger and work it down the cup. Now, this takes some work, guys. This should not be easy. If it's easy to do this, I make it look easy because I do these a lot. But if it's easy to do this, guys, you're probably using too much epoxy and you're going to get drips and have some bubbles and issues. So with the hang method, you just want it to be an extremely thin layer, 2 mLs. And some people say, you can't use only 2 mLs, it doesn't work. And I say to that, I do it all day long. It's not meant to be a thick, heavy coat, guys. It's meant to be a thin coat to add glitter onto, or a thin coat to just do your final coat. If you're at the end of the cup and you had one little bump or something wrong with the cup, you can just do a gentle sand on that area and then just do a hang method over the top so you don't have another big, heavy, thick layer of epoxy. That way you just have a nice thin layer that makes it shiny again and finishes out the cup. Now, you can do an entire cup with hang method. It just takes a lot longer because you have to let that epoxy cure in between, and it's a much thinner coat than you normally use. You just have to do lots and lots of coats and to equal one coat that we would do normally working on a rotating turner. Okay, guys, so this epoxy is self-leveling. So when we do coats that are much heavier and bigger, we have to put it on a machine that will spin the cup and keep the epoxy rolling around the cup until it cures. Because if you don't do that and you put it like this and you put a lot of epoxy on, it's just all going to drip off the bottom because it's self-leveling. Okay, so now we've got this cup totally coated in epoxy, and I am going to turn off the camera for just a second and get our parchment paper underneath and get ready to start glittering. We'll be right back. Okay, guys, we are back, and we are going to dump some glitter. This is going to be fun. So now I just have it in this glass just so you guys can see it really easy, but most people just use a shaker. But for the sake of you guys being able to see what I'm working with, I put it in this glass. We're just going to shake it on. Now I'm doing it over this parchment paper so it catches all my extra glitter, and so we can just put that back in the cup. So I am dunking. This is a red chunky mix, guys. It's going to be super pretty. It's super. Now I'm hoping you guys can see the gorgeous red that is actually this glitter is. It's absolutely beautiful. Stunning. Okay. Boop, boop, boop. So now we do this super tricky thing, like scoop the glitter. It's a very fancy technique there of just scoop and pour, scoop and pour. Now, I have been asked, can't you just roll this in the glitter? And no, you don't want to do that, guys. You don't want to do that because you will contaminate your glitter, and glitter is not cheap. And so you don't want to contaminate it. Now, okay. So then you're going to take it and you're going to tap to get any excess off. Then I'm going to just bring my drying rack in here, hang it on the drying rack. Okay, then I'm just going to take this parchment paper. This is why parchment paper is fantastic. Glitter does not stick to parchment paper, guys, very well, so it's a lot better than just using paper. And just give it a good tap. And that goes right back in the cup. Okay, and then we're going to take this paper, put it back under. Now, what I'm going to do, guys, is chunky glitter tends to stand up a little bit, and it makes it hard to cover it with epoxy without all these little pokies coming through. So what we're now going to do, it's hooked on. I'm continuing to wear my gloves and my chemical mask. That's why I still sound like Darth Vader. And we're just going to press that glitter down. That's going to help it just lay totally flat. A little bit will fall off, but that's probably stuff that would have come off anyway. It didn't really have a home to go to. It was just holding on by a thread. As you can see, the cup is very well coated. So I'm just pressing that chunky glitter down. Now, a little tip to help you get a nice smooth edge on this is to now take your finger and run it along the edge just a little bit, because we're going to be covering this up with paint and other things. You're not going to see this lip, so it doesn't have to have glitter right on that edge, because you won't see that anyway. I'm going to also do it along this bottom edge. This just helps to get you a nice smooth edge along the bottom when you're going to be doing a peekaboo, because you don't need glitter there anyway, because you're going to cover it. And that way you don't have to fight all that rough edge of the glitter being on that edge, right around the bottom and the top. Okay, so now that's all nice and cleaned up. The glitter is pressed down. We are going to let this cure for about 9 hours, and then we will be back. All right, guys? See you soon. Okay, guys, we're back after I got the red glitter on. I let it cure. I did 1 coat of epoxy over the top. I let it cure. I did just a gentle sanding. I'm only doing 1 layer of epoxy on this one because we're going to be doing so much more on this cup that you're not going to see all these bumps and little things when we get finished. So what we're going to do is I painted it with black to start, and then I'm going to paint over the black with white, and then we're going to rub it away. And well, sorry, no, we're going to do the wood grain effect on top, then we're going to rub it away. So the reason I picked the black is because when we rub it away, I thought the red with the black on the edge would look really pretty because it'd match our ladybugs. So that's why I chose black as our base for this one, and then we're going to do the white over the top so we can do our wood grain right on top of that. All right, guys, so I'm going to take this outside, and we're going to spray this white, and we'll be right back. All right, guys, here we go. This one now has the white coat on top, and so we're going to jump in. We're going to actually do the wood grain on this one. I know I mentioned that, but that's what we're about to do now. I've got my 4 colors ready to go. I don't actually think I'm going to use all 4. I think I'm going to stick with the lighter ones, but I brought the darker ones over just in case I change my mind. So if, as we go, I kind of like as I see the way the cup is turning out. So you see all these ripples and bumps. I only did 1 layer of epoxy underneath because I actually like on my wood grains to have a little bit of this texture under there instead of doing 2 coats of epoxy and having it super smooth. Sometimes when it's going to be a lot of wood grain, I like to actually leave this because it does in fact make it look more like a tree. It looks more natural. That's just a personal preference. Some of them I go smooth, like my mermaid that you saw. I did that one smooth. I'm going to use, this is not a chip brush, guys. I cannot find my chip brush, but it's close to a chip brush, except for this is made with the plastic bristles instead of the, like, fur bristles. I don't know what those would be called. So I'm going to start with that. We're going to do the lighter colors first. I'm just going to drip the alcohol ink on and push it towards the top. As the brush gets more saturated, this will get easier. It will move more ink, but I don't like to like totally super saturate my brush right out of the gate, because then you just end up with a big wet mess of alcohol ink on here. So I'm just gonna keep pushing this up and keep working on it until the brush starts getting saturated. There we go, it's starting to move now. So the brush is getting a little bit more wet and saturated. Now you can always keep a little bowl of alcohol next to you, and that will, you can dip your brush in there if you need it to dilute or move some of the alcohol inks more. So now I'm gonna slowly start working my way around. If you are curious about what time of day it is here, I know that makes no sense, but it is very late here. I just keep working. I love tumbler making, so we're just gonna keep on keeping on. So you can see when I start it halfway up, you almost get like a little bit of different texture wood grain there. So you can see I'm letting one dry and then moving over and doing the next section. And that's causing some of this beautiful graining along the sides. Just tapping and going. And I will work my way around the tumbler. Sometimes and this is already looking beautiful. Oh, I almost don't want to do a second color because this one is so pretty, but I know the second color will make it even look better. So now in these little spots from the top, like you see, I'm putting the ink on the top and then I'm bringing it down. It keeps just adding all this texture to the cup, guys. Alcohol inks are really, really fun. Now, if you don't have alcohol inks, guys, you can jump back on the channel. What you would do is underneath my tutorial, you can click on LittleLee and Rose, and it will take you to my whole channel. Now, I have other tutorials on other styles of alcohol inks. I have a whole tutorial on how to make your own wood grain alcohol inks from just supplies at Dollar Tree. I have a how to make a wine barrel looking alcohol ink cup. It's a lot of fun. So I love alcohol ink. I think it comes out really pretty, but you can see I have the paper down, you guys, because the paper catches all the little spatters that come off this brush. I just push the ink up and down. And just slowly turn the cup. Now I'm gonna put you guys on high speed. You can see the techniques that I'm using. I'm gonna put you on high speed because, well, this is tedious. So I'm gonna finish the cup out and we'll be back for the next step. All right, guys, you can see this cup. It's gorgeous. So you've got to see me work a little bit from the top, a little bit from the down. I push a lot up, and then I go back through and I add a drop, and I just bring it down just a little bit so that you get these really cool little, just different accents on this cup. I cover the bottom. So now what I'm going to do so that I don't mess this one up is I'm now going to go and put this on a, well, here, I'll show you one. Here, I'll show you one, guys. I just take a PVC pipe and a pool noodle, piece of a pool noodle, and this is what I use as my paint stick. You can see I've painted all over it. I put it on here, and then I can hold it and spin it and paint it. It's just a simple PVC pipe with a little bit of pool noodle on it, and that way I can hold it, and then I just take this and I stick it down in anything that will hold this pipe. So I have kind of little spots all over my house where I stick these. And I also have the drying rack. So I have some that have the caps on the end so I can spin it into a drying rack, and some of these are ones that I just hold. So I'm going to spray this with clear spray paint, and we will be right back. And the reason I'm spraying with clear spray paint is because if I start putting alcohol ink off this, it will rub all this away. So I'm going to clear coat spray this, and then I'm going to put my second layer of slightly darker alcohol ink on it. We'll be right back. All right. Sorry, guys. You're going to be catching a lot of background noise because my Cricut and my printer and everything is just going to town, printing and cutting all my Bumblebee cups. I always have orders for those. So this now is the alcohol ink, and it has a matte clear finish over the top. So you'll see when I do this, it doesn't mess with this underneath alcohol ink at all. And that's what I want. So I'm not going to do too much more. This is going to be the slightly darker color. I'm not going to do a ton of this. I'm just going to kind of integrate this in just to give us some good definition on our wood grain here. I might use the third color and just add a little bit more on that as well. This is just to add more texture. You can get a knot going. A knot, you just put a drop down, bring it a little up and a little down, work it up, work it down, and you get your knot started. So I'm going to kind of start one here. Now, I am sure there's probably artists out there that can do a much better job of this than I can, but this is what I got, guys. I love doing these. Wood grains. Okay, guys, wood grains are great. If you're doing any kind of craft festival or fair or anything, have a ton of wood grains ready to go in your stock because these will sell like crazy. People cannot get enough of these. Sorry, I just swallowed wrong, guys. People cannot get enough of these. They love when they see the wood. They can't even believe it's not real wood. That's what's really fun about watching people check these out at craft fairs and farmers markets and stuff. So I like layering the colors, guys, because it adds just a lot more texture to the cup and visual uniqueness. So I'm just dabbing on, bringing it down. So you can see I brought that one down far, and then I can go like this and only bring it halfway and rub, and so you get a really cool piece of texture there. It just starts making it look really, really cool. And so I'm just gonna work my way around this cup. I just went outside to spray this with the clear spray paint. My hubby's sitting out there. And he was laughing at me. He's like, still growing, huh? And I'm like, yep, because it's late here. And he just laughs because I love doing this for you guys. I love it, love it, love it, love it. I love creating. I love sharing with you guys. I love talking to you guys. If you are not a member of my Facebook, you are missing out. It is a hoot up in there. We have so much fun every day. There's a lot of inspiration. There's a lot of, you can ask questions. We do a lot of talking. I know a lot of people that see my channel kind of stumble across me, and then they're kind of confused because they're like, what is happening? What in the world is going on? Well, my Facebook place is a really good place. My Facebook page is a really good place to find out. So if you've never seen this cup making thing and you are super confused and lost about what's going on, just follow the link that's in the drop-down menu under this tutorial. That will take you to my Facebook group where we talk about all this stuff. We play games, we do prizes. It's super fun. Our members get put in Facebook jail because they're so active that Facebook thinks they're robots. It's really funny. And then we all laugh about it because they can't comment or like any posts. They can only post. So they post about being in Facebook jail, and then we tease them all day because they can't respond to us because they're in Facebook jail because they commented too much because we get going, and it's really fun. So it's a pretty cool place. Pretty cool place to be. We're like a big giant family. We play with glitter and cups and talk deals and discounts and all kinds of stuff. And we got some really good coupon codes for you guys in there that suppliers have given us for our members. It's pretty cool. All right, guys, I've got about half more of this cup to go. You've basically seen how I kind of layer it. I leave some of the light colors underneath, and I'm like, oop, there's a drip. And then I just start doing the dark colors a little bit here and there. So I'm gonna keep doing that on high speed. All right, so now we have the second coat on. That's absolutely stunning. Oops, I forgot the butt. Let's do the butt. Let's see, do I have any ink left on my brush? A little bit. I don't need to change the bottom too much. It's super pretty already. We'll just, whatever's left on that brush, we'll do that. All right, so now this has the 2 layers of alcohol inks. I think I am gonna go back through and add some of the espresso. So what I'm now gonna do is I'm gonna do another coat of the clear spray. Oops, it's picking up that ink that dripped there, but see, okay, this is actually why I spray to protect, but I will show you guys this. Go to the, back to ginger, is I must have dripped on the paper at some point. So now I can fix that drip because it will go away underneath more alcohol ink. Because alcohol ink will rub away alcohol ink. So if you've never worked with alcohol ink, guys, I will have everything linked. I have Woodgrain alcohol inks linked. I have metallic wood alcohol inks linked. I will have all kinds of links on the bottom for you with a bunch of different alcohol inks that I use. They're really fun to play with. You can dye your epoxy with it. You can dye Mod Podge with it. You can dye, I mean, you can work on your cup like this with it. It's really, really, really fun and creative. You can take white acrylic paint, add a couple of drops of alcohol ink, stir them together, get a swirl. It's really, really pretty. So I'm going to clear coat spray this one, and then we will start on the espresso color. Okay, now we're going to do the last little bit. Now this one, I'm just going to add a little bit of dark to this cup here and there. I'm not going to go crazy, just a little accent. Now, because I started with my lighter colors, I'm just going slowly darker and darker. I can keep using the same brush. but if you want to go dark and then to light, you got to switch brushes. So I'm going to keep building up on this little knot we got building here. Gonna keep going there, add a little dark here. I just really like all the different colors together. I think they look pretty. I don't always do it. Usually I layer them completely up and just have a little peeking through, but I'm really trying to actually focus on this one about leaving some of the light, because I know when I put the ladybugs on, I want to have a nice light background for my ladybugs. But this dark is so pretty. So we're just going to keep dotting a little bit around here and there. Not getting too crazy. This is really a personal preference, guys, about where you like what and how you want to put it on. And it's kind of just like look and see what you've got going on and see where you think you need to add something. If it needs a little oomph somewhere on the cup, that's where you're going to dab it. Dab it and brush. Now you can do a cup all in one color, guys. I'm going to show you guys that down the road, how to get maybe like a softball, you know, if you're doing like a baseball bat or a softball bat or something, you would want it pretty much all one color, because softball bats are one color. They're more that pine color. And I will show you guys on another tutorial how to get the really cool detailing for that. But today I know what I'm going for in this cup, and it's to be more like a tree, because I'm going to make this look like ladybugs are living all over this tree. So this one is going to go a lot faster. I'm already done with this one, guys, because I'm just adding a little bit of the dark. So it's not going to take me as long to go through and keep adding it. Okay, there we go. I'm happy with that. So now I am not going to clear coat spray this one, because we are going to, I forgot a little bit on the bottom. We'll do a little bit under here. Just so it's the bottom stays pretty uniformed with the top in color. Okay, we don't want to get too crazy. Okay, so now what you're going to do is you're going to take a shop rag, and you're going to take your alcohol and you're going to rub away the peekaboos. So here you want to use 91% alcohol or higher. It's much harder to find the higher alcohols. Pretty much Amazon is the only place you're going to find it, but 91% will work really, really well. And we're going to take a shop rag, and I'm just going to put the alcohol on the shop rag, and then we're going to rub, and it's going to rub some of the paint away to reveal that gorgeous red sparkle underneath. I'm going to put you on high speed because it's not very technical chore. It's more diligence of just you're going to have some elbow grease into this one, guys. So here we go. All right, guys, so now you saw me rub this away, and now we're gonna do some alcohol inks work to kind of cover this, a little bit of this white. If you've watched me in any of my tutorials, the white looks pretty with certain colors, but I'm gonna go ahead and cover this up a little. So what I'm gonna do is just put a little bit of the ink on the brush, and I'm just gonna kind of brush it over. And yeah, the ink is gonna get on the glitter, but that's okay. We're gonna re-clean it off here. We're just kind of just trying to dull that super white line out a little bit. Just my personal preference. Doesn't have to be perfect. It just, because it was really, really aggressive, and so I'm just like to settle it down a little bit. I'm just using the caramel for this. I'm not using the dark, dark, dark colors. I'm just trying to just a little bit take that intense white off of it. See the difference? So there's the white, and this is slightly covered. I personally like it just a little bit covered. But if you like the white, leave the white, guys. It is all up to you. It's your cup. I'm just here to inspire you and kind of show you new techniques and new fun things. If this is the first tutorial you're watching and of mine and you're a little confused, you can go back on my channel, and I do tutorials for basics to kind of catch you up to speed here. You can go click on the LittleLee and Rose. It's underneath this tutorial, and it will bring you to my whole page, and you can just kind of search through there. Some of my older tutorials are basically getting started videos, like how to prep the cups, how to paint the cup, and then how to do base glitter application. Then we kind of start getting you into some of these crazier cups. But if you also have questions, guys, you can join my Facebook group. I am there. I have a team also there that's helping with questions and helping get you guys creating gorgeous stuff. So feel free to join the Facebook group. That tutorial is also, that link is also underneath the tutorial in the drop-down menu. Just click read more or the little half arrow, and the whole menu of all the links will show up for you guys. I also have a shopping list under there for you for easy shopping. I've found some really good deals and prices on stuff, so I've got them listed there for you guys. Not everything you need is there. I just put stuff that when I find a really good deal on it as a link. All right, so this looks like it's our last one. Just put a little color on there. Okay, so now we've got that. So now what I'm going to do is actually go back through with my alcohol, and I'm going to re-rub on the glitter, and that's going to clean that alcohol off of the glitter and make it shine right back up. So it's kind of similar to the rubbing off of the paint, but you're not going any extra. You're going to just do right on top of the glitter. See, it's just taking that alcohol ink off the glitter and making it shiny again. I'm being very careful not to rub the edges because I don't want to rub away any of the alcohol ink that I just applied to the white. I just want to shine up the red. All right, guys, so I'm just going to do this through the whole cup, and then we will be back. All right? All right, guys, so normally some of these little behind the scenes things I don't always film, but I thought this would be a really good learning thing for you guys to see. So some of this, the paint is getting a little hard to, it's a little hard to rub away, and I'm a little worried that some of it, like down in these grooves from the sanding, I'm worried that some of it will not come off. So I'm just gonna use my little 220 grit, and I'm just gonna sand in here just a little bit, to make sure that we sand that away. Oh, I gotta wear my mask. Hang on, guys. That is a little tip, guys. Anytime, even if you're just doing a little bit of sanding or prepping your cup, you wanna wear one of these particle masks because you don't wanna breathe this stuff in, guys. It is not good for your lungs, so please wear a particle mask when you are sanding. Even if you're prepping your cup and sanding the metal, you don't want those little bits of metal in your lungs. You can also wet sand, you guys. You can do this underneath water. It will save your sandpaper. It won't wear down as fast, and you won't have any dust that way. But for the sakes of this, I'm just going to do it like this and rinse the cup off with alcohol a little bit because I don't have a way to film you guys over my sink. So I'm just, anywhere that I saw that it was just struggling and it was hard to see, I mean, you could still see some of the paint holding on. It's probably not even noticeable to you guys on camera. I'm just being really, really particular because this is for someone very special. So I want it to be perfect for them. This is a little... All right, so it's not too much. There was just a few little areas. And then I'm gonna just take my alcohol and wipe all the dust away and re-clean it up. And hopefully we can get it to shine up again. There we go. Yep, that's perfect because it had some weird little dots on it that we just sanded away. Just needed that little touch, and see, then can just get it back to being super shiny by rubbing it with the alcohol again. I'm just trying to be careful not to hit the outside because I don't want to have to re-alcohol ink the edges. If a little white shows, I'm okay with that. I just don't want to rub all the alcohol ink away. So just what's on the red part. All right, so now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this outside. I'm just gonna completely spray this whole cup down with triple thick clear coat spray paint. And that's gonna seal in that last little bit of alcohol ink that I did and make sure it doesn't move around when we epoxy. So I'm gonna go and take that outside and get that step started. So we're back and I have the images all printed out. So my goal of this one is to kind of make it look like flowers are growing up from the bottom and the ladybugs are gonna just be kind of crawling around the tree. So I've got these beautiful sunflowers I've got printed out and some poppies that I printed, and I got my ladybugs. So we're just gonna go ahead and get this all set up here with the decals, and this is just sticker paper, guys. I'm not backing this with vinyl. I want to give it the little slightly vintage look like what we've talked about in other videos. If I wanted to stay very, very pure, I would back it with vinyl. Like if you don't know what I'm talking about, I have a tutorial on this, guys. You can go ahead and check out the tutorial about putting vinyl behind your sticker paper to make it stay opaque. When this goes under the epoxy, this is going to go slightly transparent, not totally transparent, but a little bit. If you want to avoid that, you could just back this with vinyl. Sorry, not sticker paper. You can back the sticker paper with vinyl. Now this is just the matte finish sticker paper. You've seen me work with two different kinds. I use the glossy waterproof and I use the matte sticker paper, and I use them for different reasons. Everyone always asks me why. You just kind of have to play with them and see what they do and then decide what you like and when you want to use that style. So this one, like I said, it goes slightly see-through. And sorry, I'm just trying to organize these legs a little bit as I stick them down. The little leaves. And now I'm going to overlap these a little bit. I just want it to look like almost like a wildflower field growing up. So it's going to, some of the flowers are going to overlap each other just a little bit, just like they would be if they were natural. Smooth these stickers out. On there. So I'm going to go ahead and apply all these decals. You guys get the point. I'm just lining them up, having the stems come along the bottom, and we will be right back, guys. All right, guys, so you probably were not expecting to see this in this frame of the cup, but I thought I was actually almost gonna just quit this whole tutorial because we had a little hiccup, but then I realized this is a really good opportunity for me to talk to you guys a little bit about the way I do my business and how I work with my customers. So this was actually a custom order from a cup order from a customer. She is a return customer and she's a really good customer and I really, really adore her. And she had me designing that other cup for her daughter. And when I showed her the picture before I finally sealed it under epoxy, she wasn't 100% sure she loved it. Now, I am going to err on the side of being an amazing cup maker that handles my customers with grace. And I could have been really mad because I put so much energy and effort into that. But ultimately, the most important thing for your business is that your customer is happy. And yes, I get that there are some times when it's just like you just kind of have to drop it and run. But in this case, she knew she took a day and actually got back to me. I told her I was going to strip the cup and start over, and we would change directions and make something I know that her daughter was going to really, really love. And so the next day she messaged me and said, can we completely change it and make it red and black stripes with white polka dots? And I said, absolutely. So what I did was I peeled all the stickers off. I took my belt sander and I belt sanded off all the wood grain, and I took it back down to the red. Then I just did some spray adhesive, added another layer of red, threw some more epoxy over it, and then she wanted stripes. So what you can see here, and I was gonna, like I said, I was gonna scrap this whole tutorial, and then I realized this is a really good teaching opportunity for you guys, because when you have a happy customer, they're gonna tell a lot of people. And the word is going to spread, and people are wanting to do with business with you because you handled it very, very politely. And I was very, very calm. And I just said, you know what? I want you to love your cup. And I let her know that her ship date would change because I had to basically start over. She was totally fine with that. And it's probably gained me a customer for life because I was very calm, and I just said, sure, I want you to be super excited about the cup that you're going to be getting and giving away as a gift. So yes, it's double the work, and I'm probably not going to be profiting on this cup, but ultimately I am profiting because she will probably send me customers, or she will repeat business with me because I handled it so well. So I just kind of want to throw that out there for you guys. If you are doing these cups and you have somebody want to change their mind or go back and forth so many times, that the way you handle that situation is going to directly affect of whether that person comes back and buys more cups from you or not. So for the stripes on this cup, I thought about it and thought about it and thought about it, and I already had the red base. And so ultimately what I'm going to do is I taped off every other section, and I'm going to continue to tape it off, but I realized I got to the hump, and I want to show you guys how I maneuver through this. And so I taped off with blue painter's tape, and I'm going to do I'm taping the entire cup in strips, and then I'm going to remove every other cup, every other strip, and we're going to paint it, and we're going to go from there. So what I'm doing is I'm just adding these rings around the cup. And once you get to the portion where it starts going over the hump, the tape starts buckling. So what I do is I just make sure it's pressed down really, really well, and make sure all those little buckled bits are pushed down really, really well so that the paint can't seep underneath. And I just keep moving forward, and I make sure it's a nice straight line here. And let's say like right here, we have a small little spot. I'm gonna hold this up. There's a small little spot there. See where there's a divot from the buckling? And so I'm gonna clean that up with an X-Acto knife, and I'm gonna show you guys how to do that. So here what we're gonna do, and I'm kind of laughing to myself because I just realized while I was talking, I still had my particle mask on. I was doing some sanding, and I wear it and when I sand for the safety of my lungs. And I was still wearing it when I was talking to you guys, so I was now off. So that doesn't affect the way I sound, but you can see I'm just carefully going through and slicing this off with my X-Acto knife. And then I'm going to peel that up very carefully. Now it doesn't matter that you just cut into the epoxy, because we're going to do more layers of epoxy and it will fill in any little marks. Here's another tiny, tiny, tiny bit. This is just me being a perfectionist, guys. I am just smoothing this out and making sure that line is perfectly straight. Okay, so there's that one. Gonna put that up there, and we're gonna do the next layer. So you just wrap it around, and you can see the buckles in the tape, and I just press those down really, really firm, and anywhere that it overlaps like I just showed you, I just go ahead and use my X-Acto knife to cut that little bit off and keep it going. And that way it's gonna give you nice, clean, straight lines. Now you're gonna really see the buckle in this one, because that's why I stopped here, because this one is a very aggressive curve part of the cup. So this is the modern curve cup, you guys. It doesn't have that big hitch in it. It's just a nice, sexy, gradual curve to it. It's a very beautiful cup. This is one of my favorites to work with. So I'm just I'm focusing on the top line, you guys, getting it really butted up against the tape again above it without overlapping, because I don't want it to be a mess to try to pull away. And I'm not worrying about the bottom part at all. I'm just focused on that top line, and I will work with the bottom part in a minute. So I am just working my way around, like you see, on the ridge of this cup. We almost got it. And so what I'm just doing is focusing on, like I said, the top line meeting up against this one as close as I can get it. And then you see all this loose stuff on the bottom because this cup is curved. I just press it down. Make sure it has really good, it's adhered really well to the cup. And then we're gonna cut away anything that overlaps and makes it a like takes away from the straight line. Okay. I try to be really, really detailed in my cups, you guys, when I do them for you guys on camera, because I know when I was learning, all these little details helped, and lots of tutorials leave out the little things. So here we go. There's another little spot right here. I'm just going to go in, smooth that out, straighten that off, and remove that little bit of tape. Work my way around the cup, see if there's any big ones that really jump out at me. And there isn't, so we are going to do the next one. So I'm going to finish up this cup on high speed, guys, and we'll be down to the next step. So I'm laughing because the benefit of me doing this cup 2 different ways is you essentially get 2 tutorials in one. So now we've got the tape completely wrapped around this cup. And what we're gonna do is we're gonna remove, I'm gonna need my X-Acto knife. We're gonna remove the opposite ones. And this is, yes, it's a lot of work to tape it and then remove it. But ultimately it's gonna give you nice clean lines for your stripes. Okay, so there's gonna be one. So I'm going to go red, black, red, black, red, black, red, black, red. So the bottom will ultimately be red, the entire bottom of the cup. And they're perfectly measured out. So there you go. So this one you don't even have to measure because your tape is doing your measuring for you. So these lines are going to be exactly lined up. All right. Now, when you spray paint this cup, you guys, this is my little tip. When you spray paint any cup and you have any areas where it's buckled like this, you don't want to spray paint the paint up towards it, because the chances of there being like a little tiny pinhole underneath where that buckle is pretty good. I mean, I get these pretty smushed down, but even if I spray paint it wrong, I still end up with paint down up in the hole. So what you want to do is spray paint from this direction, so you're not forcing paint up inside those buckles. You want to kind of spray at an angle where you're holding, let's say this is the paint can, hold the paint can like this and spray down as you spray and work your way around the cup, as opposed to spraying like this or like this. You want to do a downward motion of all your spray paint going, and that way it's spraying towards the nice line that isn't buckled. And that way, again, it will avoid, even if there's like a little pinhole under there, it will avoid any little paint going up there. We've been talking about this because of my stripe in my Facebook page. We've been discussing this a little bit because people are trying to do my stripes tutorial, and they're getting some bleeding. So this is the little tip for that, you guys, is to avoid the bleeding, is to make sure you spray paint from the opposite side and above the pinhole, where it would be potentially a pinhole, as opposed to directly straight on it like this or from this angle. Okay, so I'm gonna take this outside. I'm gonna leave the bottom red, so I'm gonna take this outside and spray paint these all black, and we are gonna be to the next step. Okay, we're back for the big reveal. So it's been spray painted and it's been completely dried now. And we are gonna peel off these layers. I just gotta find, oh boy. I gotta find where the edge is. Well, that's funny. Okay, I think it's right there. Wow, it just was really hidden under here. Okay, so there we go. So we're gonna peel these off and reveal our stripes. There we go. Dun-dun-dun-dun-dun. Oh man, these little edges are hard to see when they're all painted. All right. Oh my gosh, that looks so cool. So I was super bummed that I had to strip that other cup, but now I'm kind of excited because this is looking really, really cool. Jeez Louise. The ends of these tails are really hard to see under that black paint. So we're just gonna, nope. Oh boy, this shouldn't have been that hard. I can't see a line at all. Oh, there. So this one is just barely dry, but I'm eager to keep moving with this. I want to get this paint off. I don't want to, honestly, I just wanted to see the stripes. I was really excited to see the stripes. Okay, we're gonna pull this off the bottom. So what I'm gonna do after this, you guys, is I am gonna do a hang method over this. Just to really trap that paint under there, because if you start trying to apply decals right on top of just spray paint, you're most likely gonna lift up and ruin your spray paint with the decals. So I always put at least one layer, sometimes 2 layers of the hang method of epoxy over the top. And that's just gonna protect that little bit of spray paint and keep it from being able to be lifted or removed while we're adding the white polka dot decals. All right, guys, so what I'm gonna do, you guys have seen me do hang method a million times, so I'm gonna do it off camera. And if you don't know what hang method is, you guys, if this is your first tutorial of me and you missed the, well, I did hang method in the beginning to put the glitter on, so you should already know what that is. So if this is my tutorial, it's what I did in the very beginning where I put just the 2 mLs on top and then I spread it down the cup. And at that time, I applied glitter and patted it down. This time what I'm gonna do is just the 2 mLs on top and spread it down and let it cure. And that's just gonna kind of coat these black stripes and keep them sealed in while I add the decals. All right, guys, we'll be right back. So you guys have seen me epoxy on numerous occasions. So I'm not gonna do this last layer of epoxy on camera. I'm just gonna hook it to my machine, do a layer over the top, just like I do in all my videos. And you can see here, these beautiful, beautiful, super cute. It's super cute. This is a very, very fun cup. The polka dots are perfect. The little half cuts make it look very natural. The 2 different size ladybugs, just add some depth and texture. And I want to show you this really quick. So when you work with the sticker paper with the backed vinyl, you end up with the little, regardless of how good your cutter is, you end up with like a little white line. And all I do is take a permanent marker that matches the color that I'm doing and I run it along the outside and it gets rid of that little white line. Now the reason I use sticker paper, guys, instead of, sorry, I'm gonna concentrate, I don't wanna get black ink everywhere. So the reason I use sticker paper, guys, instead of printable vinyl is because it's a lot cheaper. Even backing it with vinyl and doing the sticker paper backed with vinyl is still cheaper than doing printable vinyl. So I just do it that way. It all looks the same under epoxy. It works just as good. It's just another option. And to keep the price of the cups low, because if I used all water slide and printable vinyl, my cups would probably be $5 to $10 more expensive because it's harder to work with and more expensive for the product. So this way it keeps my cups a very reasonable price because I'm not putting insane amount of money into products that I don't even necessarily need. So that's why I use sticker paper backed with vinyl. I have different types of sticker paper I work with for different projects. Some of it's clear, some of it's glossy, some of it's waterproof, but it's all different types of sticker paper. Now this was the matte finish sticker paper and I backed it with the vinyl. That way it won't go translucent under the epoxy. So I'm gonna put this under epoxy and we'll be right back, guys. All right, guys, here she is. Isn't she gorgeous? I'm in love with this cup. I feel like this is now gonna be a very popular one. Got our little ladybug on the bottom with the polka dots. Isn't she so cute? All right, guys, this is actually going to be available through LittleLee and Rose this time. I'm going to be handling this one with my team for the kit. The kit is going to include the glitter, the decals. So you're going to get the ladybugs, the dots, and the glitter. Hopefully that makes it easy for you guys. Isn't it so pretty? I'm in love with this cup. I kind of want to make a shirt that looks just like this. With the ladybugs and the black and the white. It just came out so good. It's one of my favorites, but I say that every time. I hope you guys learned something on this tutorial. It was really fun. It was really interesting to do this one because it was with a customer and they're shifted gears and kind of decided they didn't like the original design. And so we ended up with this, which is beautiful and I love it. Even though the first one was gorgeous. It was just kind of a different direction than what they thought it was going to go in. So here we are with this gorgeous one. So it was a good learning experience on like how to deal with customers, how to handle customers. Again, this one was a repeat customer. She is a very good customer. And you want to keep those customers happy because they're out telling people your name. They're getting your business information out there, probably because they love their cups. And she felt confident that I could do something gorgeous for her. So I wanted to continue with that confidence within her. So I just peacefully and quietly just stripped the other cup, started over, and we ended up with this, and she is exuberant about the way it looks, and I am too. I'm loving it. So that's just a little bit of business tips for you guys as you're doing these tumblers. Everybody does it their own way. You can obviously do it however you want, but that's just how I handle it with customers. And then let's see. Just definitely check out the kit and give us a thumbs up, subscribe to the channel, and we'll see you on the next tutorial.